Hey everyone, I'm back with another part of the Silksong Steel Soul run. So, as of now, I'm pretty much caught up to, as far as I'm aware, exactly where I was, with a few little extra things done in general. So, as I can probably show off, I'm 3/4 of a next mask instead of just like halfway. I have two of the cog heart pieces still. I got the red quill this time actually from Travio, just because I thought it would be kind of fun. Over here, I have a few different pieces. So I've got these tacks, which you get from the Roach Guts quest from the two NPCs in Sinner's Road. I have this Delver's Drill, which you get from the bottom of the Underworks. In like sort of the first area you encounter it. I don't think there's too much new I have here. This was also in Sinner's Road, and I have a few other components from the Architect in terms of just like damaging tools and charm equivalents. So other than that, I haven't really had too much extra off-camera progress, except for a few things like little quests, which don't actually give you anything. Or at least they don't give you much except, like rosaries. The only one I think that had any unique dialogue was the one that gave me the tax from the characters with the Roach Guts, and pretty much all they say is like, thanks for your help. So what I wanted to do first today was I wanted to go through here, and I wanted to get the last mask fragment to get the 8th mask. So I have already opened up this area a little bit. Unfortunately, when I tried to just record this for a few minutes, I was interrupted. And so normally around here, there would just be like a few little breakable, like glowing orange rocks that explode. This here is normally just a big shell shard rock. But down here, you can sort of get a bit of a glimpse as to the platforming you have to do after you beat this encounter room. This encounter room gave me quite a bit of trouble when I first played it, but now that I'm more used to it, it's not the worst as long as you, use your tools right. Because there are a lot of flying enemies, and unfortunately these things here disappearing. So this here, that is normally the main problem enemy for this like entire encounter. Because they shoot these like projectiles which will stick to the walls. They're pretty dangerous if you don't handle them properly. Luckily, because I still have those two nailed upgrades, I can deal enough damage to where dealing with them really isn't a huge problem. But taking on this room earlier, like I did my first playthrough, is pretty rough, honestly. So there's just a little bit of a platforming section here. You just have to make sure to go, left when you go up here so you don't just get stuck and trapped by the lava. But once you're back all the way to the top, it'll sort of give you, like, the option to fly up. And this will be the next mask shard. So that's now just going to be 8 full masks. I'm only really able to get one more in all of Act 2 before Act 3. And that one is definitely a little bit of a pain, because some of the things you got to do for it are fairly sketchy. I did, last time I got back to this area, I actually died again while attempting to record, but it wasn't very long, and so I decided to just scrap it. That one ended up being really tough because it's a Savage Beast fly fight in the 4th Chorus Arena. I believe I have mentioned it before. But it spawns those enemies, which I was mentioning, have those projectiles that stick to walls, and it was really a pretty nasty fight. So up here, from what it's saying, there is, as I was going to also check, one of those Steel Soul things. I have pretty much no clue what to expect here. I do know there is a Steel Soul exclusive boss, which I have seen pretty much nothing of, but I think this is what it's having me look for. Okay, so there's one of 3. I wasn't sure if there was going to be any enemy to deal with there, and so I sort of chose to deal with it a bit later. Now, though, as I sort of go through this, I am also going to start going for the bosses that finish up Act 2, and getting those 3 songs that you need in order to complete it. None of those I think should be too much of a problem. Architects is probably the, well, the Architects and the Keepers I think are both fairly easy. The Conductors is the one, as I've mentioned a few times, that really typically gives the most trouble. I think with my loadout so far, I should have really virtually no trouble with it. I'm not that worried about it, but I am just going to make sure I'm fairly well prepped before I take it on, because if you do it wrong, it'll fuck you up pretty good. Sort of one of my first thoughts here, before I did that, was to go check out the Memoriam, because while it's not like super important and it doesn't have a ton of stuff we need, I would like to get the upgraded Druid's Charm because I got all the other moss berries, and then I can go unlock one of the songs. So up here, we also have gotten Sherma, just that one pilgrim, to come up here, and so that means he'll now be offering, you know, just other quests up here. I have no clue if it started him at all yet. It looks like it has. So there's still a few like little Citadel wishes that I haven't actually gotten through to. For example, like all the pins from the enemies that drop from here. Again, that's not one that offers any unique dialogue, and so it's not really like a huge deal. I may do that off camera or sped up, or something like that when I decide to go to it. It'll likely just be off camera because it doesn't offer any extra, you know, dialogue, interaction, anything really unique. But yeah, I try generally just to get the most content I can into episodes without anything being super like repetitive or like, you know, just taking forever and being really monotonous, all that. So this area is pretty cool, because the Memoriam's whole concept is supposed to be to, like, I guess, like, represent civilizations that the Citadel has destroyed, from what I've learned. And so there's basically just a bunch of, like, mini versions of the other areas in the game that are around here. So this area is fairly decent for, like, Hunter's Journal entry farming. That's up there. The Stag Beetle. One of the other things that I also did want to mention was that I did go kill the other one of these in the far fields. So I should actually be able to get, like, the full Hunter's Journal entry just from taking this one out. It is a little bit of a tough enemy, so you do typically want to be a little careful with it, but assuming I just, you know, don't miss all my tools like I have been, it shouldn't be too terrible of a fight. Also assuming I don't just keep getting absolutely mauled because I'm bad at dodging. Generally, the other thing about this enemy is that it's much easier to take out in the far fields because you can sort of just keep dodging it. And it having that sort of helmet is very, very much an impediment to you dealing consistent damage to it. I think I'm able to just drag it all the way over here, which might make it a little bit easier, I would assume. Yep, there we go. So that should give me the full entry and another beast shard, which is kind of cool. I don't particularly need it, but it is nice to have a few extra shell shards whenever I might need them. Just trying to get enough silk there to heal up. I do think... oh, this is the last Cockheart piece, actually. Are, and so only one more. So this will actually unlock a bit of a boss, which is kind of cool. Let's see here, I believe this one was... And there we are. So this unlocks just kind of a neat NPC that kind of wanders around the Citadel. You talk to it a few times, and then it'll eventually challenge you to a battle, and it gives you a pretty cool tool when you beat it, actually. It basically just gives you, like, a full free heal. So over here is, first off, the map of the Memoriam, and second off, there's actually a bit of a secret in here, which I will go to in just a second. So you can sort of see this cloth here. There's actually a hidden pathway up here, and this will lead me to another area, which will eventually be the Putrefied Waterways, I believe it is. I will be going there in just a minute, but I would like to, first off, unlock the shortcut back to the bench. And just generally also collecting a lot of the little tidbits around here. So I believe, if I'm correct, that is the last Mossberry to upgrade the Druid's Charm, which is what I was looking for. And this right here is going to be the shortcut to the bench. So that little bit I showed, that's, you know, the way to the Putrefied Waterways. I will be going there eventually, but that area is probably my least favorite in the entire game. It is incredibly annoying. Every single enemy there is like constantly trying to attack you, super tanky, or you just literally can't kill them. They're sort of like these little, I don't know how I would describe them exactly, but like vine creatures. They're supposed to imitate like a hanging vine in order to attract other enemies to just walk into them, and then they pull them up and, you know, eat them. Unfortunately, you just cannot kill them. You can temporarily incapacitate them, and that's about it. Luckily, so most of the Memoriam isn't too difficult. There are a few kind of interesting areas, because there's some, like, I don't know how I would say it exactly, like Memoriam-specific enemies, or Memoriam-exclusive enemies, which you can't find literally anywhere else. There's that. So like, for example, up here, so this is the area that I died to in, like, the last part, the Sands of Karak. That area, I have determined probably it's just best for me to wait a little bit on that, albeit now that I am, you know, at Ace Masks, it definitely is doable. It's just a little bit of a tricky area. Another memory locket is nice. So I should, as I mentioned, be soon able to get the Crest of the Architect. I'm not particularly good at playing with it, but I know it is one of the strongest crests in the game. I'm hoping that should finally allow me to actually, you know, unlock that extra little slot that I've been mentioning for so long, because your tools can get all those extra slots. I really have thought I'd be able to get it earlier, just with having the Crest of the Beast, but turns out that answer is no. So these here are actually a Memoriam exclusive enemy that you, as far as I'm aware, can never encounter in the Sands of Karak. And my arch nemesis right here, which now dies in 3 shots. Kind of sucks that, you know, my last run died to that, but it is what it is, I suppose. So I think this will unlock a shortcut, so I think the other way is sort of the extra path. So I might go take a look at that first. There's also sort of just these little shell shard, like, conch spirals around here, which is kind of neat. Unfortunately, some of these enemies do like to jump scare you a little bit, like that one. And as far as I'm aware, there's not really much of a good way to deal with them super quickly, because they are a little tanky. Again, as seen. Luckily, though, most enemies in this area really aren't too bad. There's a little bit of lore here. So continuing through this, That area, I think, is really one of the scarier ones in all of the Memoriam, just because of those enemies that are sort of difficult to dodge. Plus the conch flies that shoot those, like, ricochet bullets, I just personally am not the best at dealing with them. So I do believe this is how the shortcut brings you back down. There is also... So these lily pads right here will be part of Verdania, which I believe I've mentioned as well. So they don't do anything right now, but when we do go to Verdania in the Green Prince's Dream, or Memory, they are pretty notoriously evil for just, like, attacking you. You jump on them, and they will take about, like, 1 to 2 seconds, and then they just jump up and bite you. Don't think there's anything over to the left. And so I'm just going to continue around this way. The Memoriam, I will say, does curiously kind of have a lot of platforming. Which I'm also just not doing very well at. Okay. Well, shit, I guess. Well, I guess if that's going to be the case, I may as well just come back up here and try to get a bit of soul first, or silk. Because there are some other enemies up here which I know I'm very much capable of dealing with. Those are always a little scary. I can also actually just really quickly go here, because this is going to be the Memoriam pneumatic tube. I can just take this, go back, get my masks back real quick, and then come back here, because again, as much as this platforming isn't really terrible, kinda would rather not lose another run to stupid mistakes. Another thing that I actually haven't done in this run is, first off, I have not activated the quest for the Gourmand, just because I didn't want to deal with that quite yet, because I think I've mentioned it before, but the Druid has this weird little dialogue interaction where if you interact with them after you've already given the Gourmand, like, the Druid's brew, the Druid will still give it to you again. Again, I'm not sure if they patched that, but it can basically just, like, slightly bloat your inventory for the entire rest of the game. And so just so I don't have that happen, I was planning on giving all the mossberries to the Druid before I actually, you know, went and got that brew and started the Gourmand's quest. Especially because I also still, you know, have a few things I'd like to do, because some of those are really difficult to obtain. A couple of them require you to actually beat bosses to get the components, and that is a bit of a problem. This here is another Memoriam exclusive enemy. Luckily they aren't really difficult, they sort of just charge at you pretty slowly. It is kind of funny, because Hornet specifically mentions that she really likes these creatures in the Hunter's Journal, pretty much saying the only problem is that they couldn't breed out the spikes. So there we go. This is the shortcut right back to the beginning. As far as I'm aware, I don't really have a way to just skip back up. Actually, no, there is one here that I didn't do quite yet, but this shouldn't take too long to get back through, especially because I don't have to deal with some of those, you know, more annoying rooms. I can just go straight through. That and, like, I don't have to deal with that one big rhino beetle again, so this should be pretty quick. Just because I'm still getting hit by some of these, I figure I should just probably take them out. There we go. Okay. There is one more of these enemies I may as well take out now, because, you know, give me a little more progress in the Hunter's Journal entry. Not going to deal with that thing. This here should just be the quick shortcut that I should have honestly unlocked earlier, but here we are. Yep, and this just brings us straight back there. So the rest of the memoriam should really be pretty simple. So this area here with all the electricity is normally an area called Worm Nest, I believe, or like Volt Nest. It's honestly a little sketchy. It's got one boss in it, which is really not a very difficult boss, all things considered. I swear there is something here, unless I'm wrong. There is, I know, a very large flea in this area, which is kind of funny. Kind of like a mini-boss. So this sort of stuff is all around in Volt Nest. Very, very annoying to deal with sometimes. Here we go, and so the Materium is really interesting. Oh, hang on, there's also a bit of a secret wall here. No, I do believe I have actually encountered this before. I don't think I've seen that. I'm not actually sure if I've ever discovered this room before. Like, it feels like I should have, because I've gotten pretty far before. What does this unlock me? Volt vessels. I don't think I've actually ever seen this room before, so I guess I just actually found something that I haven't seen before. That's kind of neat. I just sort of noticed the little cracks in the wall and figured I would look. So up here, I believe, is actually like the big fly fight, or the big flea fight. It's not a very difficult fight, it's kind of funny. This was supposed to originally, as far as I'm aware, be the area for the craws. But here it is. Big flea. He should be a pretty quick fight too, I'm pretty sure. Yep, that's it. Really not a particularly difficult fight. He just goes and joins the rest of the flea caravan now. Here it is. So this just brings us back. And so as far as I'm aware, this is pretty much just the entirety of the memoriam cleared. So I will be going back to the putrefied waterways in a little bit, but for now, I have no need to, nor do I have much desire to. I do think there is a piece of craft metal in there, and so there are a couple other things that I do need craft metal for. I did not craft the explosives, the Pimpillos, this run, because I did not have the craft metal that I needed for them. I think, though, that I would rather get the cogflies first, because the cogflies are, as I've mentioned, really, really strong, especially with poison. So let's see here. Back to Bone Bottom, because I'm going to go talk to the druid. I did not clear the alchemist's quest line this time either. Not quite yet, at least. It should also be pretty simple. But again, I don't think I have too much of a use to go there right now. I do know there's still the second skull. Oh, there it is. I was going to say there's still the second Skull Tyrant fight, which I haven't completed quite yet in this run. This should again be a pretty quick fight. Again, not only because I know this boss, but just because it's a pretty quick boss. Yep, there it is. Not too big of a deal, but I don't get my bench back here for a minute, so that kind of sucks. Oh, and it broke the icon, which kind of sucks. I do think... Oh shit, does the elevator just not come back down now? Well, that kind of sucks. I think leaving and re-entering the room can get everything at least a little more fixed up. Yeah, I like the bench. There we are. And there's the elevator. So luckily, now that I also have the elevator, or at least now that I have all my mobility, getting back to the Druid should be really, really quick. Because normally I think you need some, like, weirdly high amount of mobility for it if you want to go around this way. Because normally you got to go up here. I think you might actually just need the dash, but having the double jump just makes it that much easier. And here we are. So even though this charm is upgraded, I still don't find it like super, super useful. But it'll at least be kind of cool to get everything fully upgraded. As far as I'm aware, there's also an Act 3 upgrade to the Curve Claw, which is one of the tools that I use really regularly, which is kind of exciting, because from what I've heard, it's absurdly strong, too. And there we are. So, pretty much it's just, you know, double the original strength. So now every time you get hit, you get a full spool of silk instead of just a half, which is still not terribly strong. I've seen some people use it on a boss in Bile Water, and they call it the Vor strat, which is kind of funny because they just let the boss eat them over and over and over and just keep attacking it. That boss is admittedly a massive pain and kind of annoying, so I honestly wouldn't mind a kind of quick strat for it, but don't know if I want to risk that as opposed to just killing it, especially because I can do the damage in this run, and so I might as well. Okay, so looking around, I think we only have 2 more components now for the Steel Soul thing. So there's one up here in Shellwood, and then I think there's one up here, like around the Blasted Steps. It doesn't seem like it. Okay, so I think the positions might actually change each time, which is kind of interesting, because the other one looks like it might actually be over here in the Putrefied Waterways, which is gonna really suck if that is the case. But now that I've gotten all that out of the way, I think it's about time that I start going for some of the songs. So I think the first one I'm going to go do is going to be... I did not mean to go to the slab. That is the other thing I have not actually done, is I was not able to find the enemy that would normally take me to the slab, so I may have to wait to get the Key of the Apostate to break in later game. But I'm going to go get the Song of the Vault Keepers first, and this is going to be a boss, Trabio. I know he does give me a tool which actually lets me deal damage when I heal, which is kind of neat. Don't know if I'm really going to use it that much. You do get an upgraded variation of it in Act 3, where you can also get like a purple quill if you want to, instead of a red or a white one, which is, again, kind of a cool Easter egg, but I normally would have, but I determined I didn't really want to wait until Act 3 to get a quill to fill out my map. Okay, so his fight is going to be right up here. I'm honestly just going to skip this enemy. It's not worth it to deal with it. And here we are. So, one thing about this boss I've found particularly is that a lot of the times he'll do sort of like this, I guess I described as like a tornado move. Wow, I am getting hit a lot by those smoke bombs. The tornado move really isn't too difficult, and you can also pogo him during that. The glitter bombs can do kind of a number on you. And this normally also has them spin away. are. I do believe this boss is named after the music producer for the game. He's honestly a pretty fun fight, and it is Act 3 that you basically get a very similar fight to him. I don't know if it's actually almost any harder except for maybe being like a little faster. I did not find it to be a particularly hard fight, nor did I find this fight to be super difficult in the first place, but it is kind of a neat boss. I am missing all of my daggers right now. And I will say, the Magnetite dice, I heard they were strong because, you know, they give you just a chance to negate damage. One kind of neat thing I figured out is that they actually do, if you negate damage, keep your Hunter's Crest entirely charged up, which is really nice. I am really getting hit by the smoke bombs here more than absolutely anything else, which is kind of funny. I just have to be a little more conscious when I'm trying to do that. There we go. And this, I believe, is sort of entering like his second phase. It doesn't really do too much different. He sort of just does that like fly up attack quite a bit. There we go. Assuming I actually, you know, time his tornado attacks a little better. That is one of the best spots, I think, to get damage on him, just because you can get a clean pogo every single time. And sometimes two if you do it right. Plus, sometimes he'll have like that sort of little, I don't know, like, frame where he's just completely, like, vulnerable afterwards. So even though it's only like one hit, it is just a little extra guaranteed damage, and I will never complain about that. Was really hoping that one wouldn't hit me, so it seems like I got a lucky dodge there. And there's Trabio. And he kind of just plays dead here. And if you run out and run back in, you can actually just watch him, like, faint again. Everything for the sake of the show. But that's pretty much all you really need to get the Song of the Vault Keepers. Not a particularly hard one to get. He's a little bit of a tough boss maybe the first time you fight him, but watching out for those like smoke bombs that he throws, because they deal 2 masks if they hit you directly. Not getting hit by those is kind of the main thing. So let's see here. I don't think there's anything up here. I just know there's always this like one wall, which doesn't really seem to have anything special about it, but is also just like, you know, a rock. This over here, I believe, yes, so this here is a room that I also did sort of encounter off camera. Down here you get a spool fragment. There's a little bit of something up here. I did not mean to make a pin marker there. That I'm going to go check out real quick, because I think you just need this for it. It's nothing particularly crazy. Yeah, it's just shell shards. So, you know, nice little bit of extra, I guess, collectibles if you need it. But there is a little more I know under here. I don't think this leads me to Bile Water. Although, I'm not gonna... Oh, that's right. This area. I knew this area existed, I just didn't remember exactly where it was. These enemies are just kind of a massive pain no matter when you deal with them. I don't remember exactly what this area gives you. I think it's a bit of a shortcut of some sort. And maybe a flea or two, I'd guess. So this up here... Where does this lead? I'm gonna go back to these other rooms in just a minute, but I'm trying to go the direction that I think is sort of like a shortcut first. Ah, here we go. So this goes just straight through the elevator. Right. So this here is, you know, right above the Grand Bellway. This is literally just a shortcut. So it's pretty nice to have. It looks like, yeah, okay. So there's a few more things sort of back in that area. You know, aside from getting the Vault Keeper. I think it actually is still through that way to get the Vault Keeper song. But unlocking shortcuts is generally always a good idea to get done first, at least if you know where they are. Because, you know, if it's your first time playing the game, you're obviously just going to have no clue. I assume this here is also probably a shortcut of some sort that I just can't unlock yet because of the, you know, the noise it makes when you hit it. Up here, I guess, is nothing, because this is also normally sort of like an entrance to Biowater, I think. It's sort of like... It's a weird area, put simply. Right, I didn't have my Hunter's Crest fully charged, and so I didn't expect that enemy to take 3 hits instead of 2. I am not a fan of those ones that hang from the ceiling. Those are pretty rough to deal with. And luckily, dealing with these spikes is a little challenging sometimes, but I'm also just not being very careful here, it would seem. There we are. Okay. And over here, assuming that there's nothing else that's just gonna, like, immediately hit me. What is it that's over here? This sort of also gives the energy of, oh, is this another memory locket? No, shard bundle. Okay. This also sort of gives the energy of another area that I'm going to be traversing through, which is like half in Biowater. It's called the Mist. I am able to get to it a different way. Oh. You know, it would actually make sense that this is right around there, too. I don't know if I'm ready to deal with that quite yet. But now that I have 3 more masks, I'm kind of thinking about it. Okay, so generally in here you just gotta be quick, so you don't get hit by all the mist. Or the steam, I guess, more aptly. I do remember there's kind of like a few different ways to work through this area. It's a bit odd. Don't know how many secrets there are around here. I think there's something down here at the bottom of this one to the right. If I didn't just hit the spikes there. Ooh! Unfortunately, it seems I'm... There we go. This here, it's just a little bit of like a needle and lore room. Kind of neat, but nothing terribly important. And I'm out of silk anyway, so there that is. And now we head up. Yes, and I do believe that this is where we get the Song of the Keepers. There's also a little bit of a secret here. I believe it might be up. Here it is. I see it. There's like this statue that can talk to you. It's supposed to be encouragement for the pilgrims that get here. Yep, so there's just that. It doesn't really do all that much. Just, again, sort of a cool little Easter egg. And this will actually lead us straight back to the Whispering Vaults as soon as we get this.
Magina Fora.
So that just tells you in case you haven't actually went and encountered the Vault Keeper yet. And this should bring us pretty much just right back up to where we last time exited the Whispering Vaults. I don't think there's really any other, like, major secrets around here. I think you pretty much just open this up. And it does seem that there's this here. I'm actually not sure if this serves almost any purpose at all, but there you are. So this just unlocks the way back. So this would normally be the way you'd get to Travio. Or, well, just about. Just a tiny bit higher up. Here it is. So this just leads you straight back up here. I'm going to actually go bring this to the Vault Keeper just right off the bat. There's not really a reason not to. I am also going to have to, at some point, make sure that I actually get Garmond again, just in like a random encounter. Because I do know there is a duel against him, as I think I've mentioned, that I would just, you know, like to unlock, because it's part of the Hunter's Journal entry, along with Chakra. Garmond will also have an Act 3 fight, but that's much more him going insane, so it is a little different. And down here, and just to the right, I think, no, it would be at the top of this room, is, I think, because down here, I believe, just exits into this little cubby. Yeah. Where I got one of the mask shards. So, there is also sort of this other little room up here which I haven't gone through, and I can use that to sort of go back up and around as soon as I give this to the Vault Keeper.
Tamirian.
That one, I believe, also gives one of the highest amounts of rosaries in the game.
Benifray.
And that'll be part 1 of 3 of all the melodies. Okay, so there are slowly more psalm cylinders in the game. I don't remember where all of them are, but I will just get them as I play through. So having that done, I did also release those enemies, which can't say I'm a huge fan of, but, you know, they're here now. So I am going to go back through and sort of clear this extra room that I've mentioned. I think I have everything that I need for it, and so I don't think there's really a reason not to. I just have to head a little bit to the right here, and it should bring me straight to it. I didn't mean to actually go fight this enemy, but I figure I might as well, because again, these enemies, I think there's really only like 2 or 3 locations maybe where they are in the whole game. So they're kind of rare, and they're kind of a pain in the ass to get for the Hunter's Journal. Okay, and here we are. So this is normally an entrance to Biowater. I think if you head like sort of down, no intent of doing that quite yet. Because again, Biowater sucks. Biowater and the Putrefied Waterways are probably 2 of the most brutal areas in the entire game. I don't think there's any secret in this room as far as I'm aware, but there's that. So I think down here Not quite. I thought down there was something you had to go do. But I have to unlock this way for it first. Also a bit of a secret wall here. Not for much, just for a couple shell shards, but always nice to have. Okay. And this, if I end up dropping all the way down, will actually bring me to Bile Water. I don't think there's any secrets in these sort of like little alcoves here. But I'll double check each of them just in case. That one, I wasn't exactly sure how I was going to dodge the boulder, but I guess that works. So this here just unlocks like a shortcut back up to where you were, because there's not really a way to get back up here from Pile Water, unfortunately. Just like, at all. So yeah, if I do drop down to Bile Water that direction, it instantly also dunks me in the maggots that, you know, don't let you heal. So, immediate fun times there. But this here sort of gives you like this extra little area next to Songclave. I don't know if it really has any unlockables, but it does have this up here, which I think I actually sort of missed the first time that I did this. One other thing I probably will be doing somewhat soonish is trying to get that second silk heart. Because while I can technically get a second silk heart just by, like, I guess, beating Act 2, that's not the one that I would like to go for second, because then, by the end of Act 2, once I do that, I can have all three, which is really nice. I think there's actually also something else I can get if I sort of just use the claw line over and over when I'm up there. But I don't want to do that quite yet, because I know this is actually where the Garmon duel takes place. I got a little bit lucky there with that pin. So I have no clue if Garmon actually shows up here quite yet, just because I don't know if I've met like enough requirements. There's another one of the Psalm cylinders. I may not take that one back quite yet, so here that just leads you sort of right back to Songclave, and I do know there is something else there. So Garmond, I don't know if I've met all the requirements to get him to spawn here quite yet, so I'll probably have to look into that just to double check, make sure I've, you know, got enough of his encounters first. Let's see here. Trying to actually, like, properly get around this, because I think the way that you're supposed to do this is... Never mind. Okay. So, I thought you were able to cling onto the other side of that, but I am aware that just doing this way is also a totally viable option. And there we are. So, a few extra rosaries, which is nice. And that's pretty much all it gives you there. Do I want to go down and give the Vault Keeper that right now? Because it's not much of a going down, so I guess I might as well. Guess I sort of backtracked on my earlier statement, but considering I can just drop straight down here and give it to him, it's probably just worth it to get it done now. There's only 6 Psalm cylinders in the entire game, and so, you know, halfway done with them already. They are fairly expensive for each one of them, which is kind of nice, because a couple hundred rosaries doesn't hurt. Also now, I can get the desk actually in my bell home and showcase the Materium. I know there's a few things which I don't have in the Materium quite yet. So that'll be kind of cool once I'm able to actually get some of those. I do, having that other simple key, I believe there's also 4 in the game total. I know there's one for the Green Prince, one in Deep Docks, one that opens the Bellways, and then there's one more that I forget what exactly it does. I can also just grab the third one right here, actually, because I have enough rosaries. And I'm not going to buy this quite yet, just because I'm going to go upgrade my bell home real quick first. And then after that, I think I'll probably actually go and unlock the Song of the Architects. That means the only song I'll have left is the Song of the Conductors, which I am feeling pretty ready to take on right now. I probably won't do that in this part, just due to time, but this here in and of itself shouldn't be too bad in just getting the Architect's Melody. And then I figure once I'm done with a little more of that, I'll also start working on more of that Steel Soul quest. So, this will be the desk. And it looks like there's also another wish here, which I am not entirely sure what actually is. But I guess I'm going to see. Ah, yes, so this is the Savage Beast Fly that's in the 4th Chorus Arena. I don't think I want to take that one on quite yet, because even though now I am, you know, I do know what it is, I'm more prepared for it, it's still a pretty tough fight. So this here is going to be my bell home, and they've got the desk set up, and so now I'm actually able to assemble a bunch of stuff. So now you can see there's sort of all this extra stuff, which you can, you know, just generally get an idea of. So this is like all your relics that, you know, the other collector holds down there. The cylinders, you can actually play the cylinders. Once you've collected all 6 of them, it gives you an option to buy like a gramophone for your house. These are a lot of the quest items, and there's a few more things you can find here and there. I don't have them unlocked quite yet just because I haven't like gone about them. But yeah, it's kind of neat, all things considered. So, with that being said, I think it's just about time to go get the Song of the Architects, and then after that, that'll probably be about done for the time, I would say. But I also do have, I know, another, like, Weaver's Nest or 2. There's going to be one in Bilewater, which is going to suck to get to, but I will get that. And then there is another one that I still haven't gotten in the Wormways. So I think the closest to the Song of the Architects is going to be the Memoriam. Actually, no, I lied. It's definitely going to be Songclave. The Memoriam is pretty quick, I think. But I sort of just underestimated where it would be. I figured it would be a little closer back to just like the one really big hallway, but it's not terribly close. And while I'm down here, actually, before I do that whole platforming section for the Song of the Architects, what I can do first, there's a room that I believe I've, like, filmed a little bit of, but I haven't actually, like, gone through it. It'll be right around here anyway, just a little bit below where I would get the song. And there's sort of like this big bouncy enemy. That's right, because I almost died in a previous episode when I was trying to, like, kill it. So I'm going to take a bit of a rest stop here. And then it'll be all the way in the bottom left corner, actually. So, just going to be a little careful, make sure I'm dodging everything right. There's going to be an enemy right here. And then, if you look right down here, well, I guess you can't actually see it from here, funnily enough. There's just going to be another little entrance. Having the damage I do, I'm no longer really worried about taking on this enemy. Normally it's a bit more of an issue if you're at low masks and, you know, medium damage, but it's just this thing right up here, which I didn't actually know you could trigger early, which is kind of funny, Gonna just heal up real quick. I would... Oh! I forgot again that it could shoot those things. I don't really want to just cheese it, because, like, you know, that's kind of lame. But I am going to sort of run in and out to heal if I need to. It is kind of scary, honestly, with those little throwables. Wow, that thing is bad. Probably, honestly, just going to poison it real quick. There we go, because that thing is scaring the hell out of me. Because normally when you try to open this door super slowly, it spawns out of the ceiling and starts attacking you. That thing is pretty brutal. And there's these things, luckily, here. Normally I try not to attack them because they're passive, and they're kind of just doing their own thing. And, you know, there's not a reason to just hurt them. But some extra soul would be really nice right now. Ooh! I thought that was going to do much worse things for me than it actually was. I don't think there's anything up there. There's sort of this little exit hole there. Not actually fully sure what's over here. It's been a little while since I've done this room. And another spool fragment is nice. All things considered, I've actually got quite a few of my spool fragments all done. So fairly soon, hopefully. Probably I still don't think in Act 2 I should be able to at least get max silk. Don't exactly like that these enemies respawn when you just leave the room, but not too much of a problem. Since I've got the claw line here, this is so much easier of an area. And double jump makes it even easier. That was the best move I could have made, clearly. And now, just take a bit of a rest before I go get the song. Later, then, I'll also be able to go talk to the architect again, because I think I have enough tools. And, that should allow me to get the crest of the architect, and then hopefully, I can only assume that then actually does unlock that extra tool slot. Those steam enemies are a little bit weird. They give me a little bit of trouble, typically. So at least I've been able to take them out pretty quickly. Just lost all my extra damage from the Hunter's Crest, which kind of sucks, but whatever. This is pretty much, this is why the Song of the Architects really isn't that big of a deal, because it's kind of just a platforming section, which to me really isn't that bad. I normally don't find platforming in too many games to be difficult, unless it's, you know, specifically something like Super Meat Boy, which is directly intended to be stupidly difficult. This enemy is one of those that you can sort of just cheese through the ground, same with this enemy. Because these shield enemies are really annoying, it's honestly more worthwhile to just take it out that way. They're not super difficult, mind you, but you can just get it out of the way. And honestly, why not? I've dealt with them enough already, and so, meh. That is scene content as far as I'm concerned. One thing I actually kind of noticed when, I believe I was talking to a friend, is that Hornet, if you stay on a wall and you dash up, which one of my friends told me about in the first place, if you do it when you're in the slab and you have, you know, like, you don't have the dress on, she kind of, like, arches her back and kind of like scuttles up the wall. It's kind of funny to see, honestly. Didn't play that one quite right, huh? Oh my god, does it send me all the way back? No, okay. That is nowhere near as far as I thought. Oh, that one. I pressed the S button. I don't think I had enough silk back quite yet. Again, really, they don't require you to have the double jump in this area. But having it is pretty massively useful. There is also another one of these little enemies over here. Really killing it more for the need of soul. I can just head straight up right now. And here's where we get the Song of the Architect. So I don't know the exact pattern, but pretty much what you do is you scroll through each upper, like, you know, segment until you see a secondary segment like that, which matches it perfectly. That's how you know you've got the right one. It looks like my third segment is correct, and so then, there you go. You just hit the fourth segment until it's correct. So you just always start from the top and find a segment which fits it. And then if there isn't one, just scroll the next one. I think there's only 4 options each. So if one doesn't work, 2, 3, and 4. I do think option number 3 might have actually fit there. Not quite. But that one does. So again, go to segment number 2. That doesn't quite look correct. Nearly perfect matchup. Ah, so this top is still not perfectly fitting, actually. I missed that. Okay, so that one's not quite correct. And it looks like the initial one was actually the correct one. But I can only assume... Unless I'm just bad. Ah, no, I believe this one is correct. I think there might actually be 5 per rotation. There we go, that looks correct. Then this one, there we go. Okay, and should only have one more. I'm trying to see if I can remember just sort of by scrolling through these which ones are correct. Unfortunately, it's also something that I haven't done for just a little bit. And I don't think any of those fit. That one looks like it might be correct. Yep. There we go, right off the bat. I don't think that one looks quite correct. And unfortunately, this last one, you sort of just have to jump off the wall a whole lot. I know my keyboard is also just a tiny bit clicky, so unfortunately it's just going to have to be bared with for a second. I don't think that's the correct one. Still not quite, huh? I'm sort of trying to remember the second ones as I go through them. I think I may have honestly just, yeah, the one that I thought specifically was not right was in fact correct. So that's great. And there's the fourth one. So that's the Song of the Architects fully completed. That, I think, was probably one of my favorite just moments in the entire game when I first played it. I thought that segment was really cool. So, I think because those enemies just respawn when I exit and re-enter the room, might as well get a little bit of silk from them real quick. Because the descent really isn't too bad. There's like a way I found too. You can just pretty much fall straight down, but I would say no harm in just getting a couple extra masks, just to make sure. Because again, yep, things like that. I did not think that one would get me. It's a bit of a rest spot. Just a little bit further, and there we go. So that is now 2 of 3 songs gotten. The last one is going to be the Song of the Conductors, which, as I've mentioned, is pretty brutal. The area that I'll have to go for it is the High Halls, which I guess I can just make my way up to, even though I probably won't start it quite yet. So the High Halls are basically like kind of top left of just the entire Citadel. They themselves are kind of a bit of an annoying area, I'm not gonna lie. And really, I think the entrance is just right over here at least. Yep, looks like it. Already dealt with everything else up here. I will also have to go back to the Cogwork Core to, you know, unlock that, oh, what do you call it? Oh yeah, to unlock the other NPC and boss. But I will be able to do that next time. One kind of annoying thing about these sort of areas is that just if you don't have, you know, more than one silk heart or that one tool equipped which acts as another silk heart, they just take a second to get through. So now that I'm here, I don't think there's a bench too far off, so that's sort of my thought on what I'll get to. These enemies definitely do suck a little bit. Not my favorite. That other one there that's sort of just lying there, when they actually activate, they suck. As I guess you can see right here. They do a lot of dashes, very, very frequently. And they parry a lot too, which just makes them really slow to take out. Okay, I don't think there's... well, hold on. Because there is a flat wall there, but it doesn't look like there's much of a secret there except for just a few spare shell shards. This area you can also do entirely without double jump, but, you know, double jump sort of just lets me speed through it. Considering the first time I ever beat this, I did not have double jump. Little bit of an extra thing up here. The High Halls is actually where that other optional boss fight will be, so that's going to be kind of cool. It is, honestly, kind of a cool arena. It is one of my favorites, and from what I understand, there's also, like, I think it might have said it was a Steel Soul, like, exclusive area. This dude is kind of being a pain to deal with, so I'm just going to try to hit him with poison, honestly. This is sort of the reason that I was saying these enemies are the actual worst. Because unfortunately, they really just love to not follow you anywhere. And honestly, by this point, it's probably just not even worth it to deal with that right now. Oh, and I think there's more of those other enemies who summon stuff up here, if not... Not a fan of these flies either, and honestly, it might just be a better idea to head back down. So, I guess, a little bit of a useless segment, if you will, of me starting high halls, but yeah, as I've said, this area does, in its own right, kind of just suck. And so, I suppose I will just deal with it next time, and for now, make sure I don't die after all the progress I've gotten. But I think coming up, I'm probably going to look at trying to get to the other Weaver's Nest, maybe the Bilewater one. I'll see about that. But get through the high halls, at least unlock, get the area that brings you to this last song. Check out some more of the Steel Soul things, I think. Unfortunately, I still can't do the slab quite yet, but just sort of a lot of stuff like that. So I think for now, that's a pretty good place to stop. So thank you for watching, and see you next time.